All right, one more for Janelle. Yeah. So the first time I came up and dropped 2 things. The second time I choked on a sip of water. Hopefully the third time's the charm. I'm going to introduce now Reverend Ted, the Associate Pastor for Outreach here at Third Presbyterian, who's going to talk to us about the importance of treating our fellow people with dignity.
So again, there is water over here. There are snacks if your stomach's growling. And the bathrooms are down the hall. Don't go now, you don't want to miss my presentation, but whoever comes after me. I do want to point this out. Has anybody ever seen these things that you can move your PowerPoint from afar? No? It's really neat. You should get one. Duncan just taught me about it. It's really neat. So, my name is Ted. I've been pastor here for about 3 years and do mainly outreach. Not exactly like Janelle was just talking about, but I get to be involved with the community, see what supports are needed for various ministries and missions, and then jump in and teach and train some of our folks and get them out there, or follow some of our folks who are already out there doing some of this good work. I want to talk about the housing crisis. Do we see this? Yes. Right? We can solve the housing crisis and end homelessness. Everything begins right there with that statement. Now, all right, so who believes me? Raise your hand if you believe that statement. And if you don't believe it, that's okay. This is a church. We disagree with each other all the time, right? This is essential to whatever we're going to do next. Getting this into our hearts is one of the 2 things that we need to believe. I'll tell you the other one in a minute, but we have to believe that we can solve the housing crisis and end homelessness. We have to hold on to that with everything that we have and everything that we are. That's got to be our driving force. There can be no doubt. And I believe this. I'm newer to this work, but I've seen some stuff and I've talked to some people and I've looked at some of the data. We can do this. Now, I'm not saying for the whole country or even for the state, but for this city that we're in, we can fix all of this. We know the solutions. We're going to talk about more of them. Both Janelle said a little bit about them, but we know the solutions. It's not rocket science. There are many things. It's multifaceted, but we know what the solutions are. And you probably already know what they are too. We know what the solutions are, and we have the resources. And let's be honest, we have the resources. There are, 5,000 zombie homes out there that we could rehab. People could live in them. We have all that space. We have the money. It's out there. City, county, state level. The money is there. Now, it may be allocated in the wrong place, according to us, but it's there. Let's not kid ourselves. It's there. We know the solutions. We have the resources. What we don't have, in my opinion, the one key that's missing that we don't have, it's the will. We don't have the will. We don't have the political will, the social will, the personal will to do whatever it takes to create these solutions, to apply them, to make them happen. Dr. Janelle mentioned failed policies, inadequate safety net. You can fix failed policies. You can fix failed policies, right? Make a good policy. Make a new policy. You can create a safety net that people aren't going to fall through. Janelle Cole mentioned HUD's definition of homelessness doesn't work for what they do. Let's change the definition. Right? That's why you're here. That's who you are. You vote. You can make a difference. You can have a legislator change legislation. On the way in today, I came down Monroe, got off 490, and then turned onto Oxford. And as I'm going down, I slowed down and I pulled up. And I said, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" Does everybody know Mike? He lives on the mall. Said nothing. I'm like, you need some water? He's like, no, I'm good right now, thanks, maybe some food later. Now, there's a lot of people that complain about Mike on Oxford in that area. It's easy to complain. It's easy to whine about him. It's harder to make legislation to get him the resources that he needs to get himself housed and to make his life a little bit better. That's the will. That's the political will, the social will, the personal will. It takes courage to go to the county and say, hey, your reimbursement policy for shelters, it ain't working. You're not paying enough money. The restrictions are too much. We can solve the housing crisis and end homelessness. So let me ask, if you know your name, raise your hand. No, I'm serious, raise your hand. If you've said your name recently out loud, put both hands up, all right? If you said your name out loud. All right, put them down, you're good. All right, if you know a neighbor's name, it could be a neighbor where you live, a neighbor where you work, neighbor right here. If you know a neighbor's name, raise your hand. If you've said that neighbor's name anytime in your life, raise the other hand. Hey, Pete, how's it going? All right, put your hands down. Another question. If you know a homeless person's name, raise your hand. Very nice. Good for you. Because they have names, Mike, Sean, Frank, Cree, D'Angelo. What are some of the names that you know? Just shout out their names. What are the names? You know them. Come on.
Patrick.
Skippy, Jim. Cameron. Beautiful. All right, I want you to fill in the blank for me here, okay? Those struggling with housing or homelessness are? Human. There's one answer that's right. I'll give you credit for the other one.
Human.
I say people.
All right, y'all ruined it. I didn't expect all that, right? But really, those struggling with housing or homelessness are people. Right? This is the second thing. Who said it first? Good for you, Harry. I think this is the second thing that we need to believe. One is that we can solve the issues. But at the heart of that is, these are people. Right? These are human beings. They're not the homeless. I know we all use that, but they're not the homeless. They're individual people. Their hearts beat. They breathe, they inhale, they exhale, their minds think, they like to color, they like to draw, they like to read, they like to sing. Has anybody met George? He also goes by Rabbi. He's got the big fluffy hair and the glasses. He's a comedian. Sometimes he's over by the old Monroe and he does stand-up comedy. He's hilarious. He is a great guy. Last time we met at St. Mary's, Elmo was there. He's a veteran. Very funny guy. Great stories. They're people. They're human beings. And we need to remember that, and we need to hold on to that. And it's got to be at the heart of what we think and what we do as we move forward with all of this. They have names, right? Just like Jim Croce. Who remembers Jim Croce's song, right? I got a name, right? That's so important in literature, whether it's faith literature or just regular literature. Names mean something. They often refer to a person's character. Your name is your character, and so it's essential. So make sure you're learning people's names. It enhances their humanity, who they are. Sometimes when I have a moment, I go down here, I walk down Meg's to Monroe, take a right, and there's Health Reach is there. Do you have any Health Reach people here? They're amazing. They do fantastic work. So thanks to all the people from Health Reach. But I'll just sit out there and I'll just chat, get to know people. We have a meal here on Saturdays. Anybody who wants it, it's free. And I chat with people. So a couple weeks ago, I went down there and I was just talking to Sean and some of the other guys. And I'm like, what do you guys need? And I was expecting some big answer, right? Some really important thing, like huge thing. And he's like, laundry? I just need someplace to do my laundry. I don't want to be dirty. I don't like having my clothes be dirty. And everybody was shaking their heads, and yes, we agree. Frank and everybody who was with him. And then somebody else yelled, showers. I just need a shower. I'm dirty. It's hot out. I'm dirty. I feel gross. I just think it's interesting. Out of all the things that they could have asked for, right? They wanted to do their laundry because they don't want to have dirty clothes. They want to take a shower because they don't want to feel grimy and dirty and have their hair look gross. Because they're people. Because they're human beings. It doesn't get any more essential than that. They're people, they're human. And as Janelle said a few minutes ago, housing is a human right. Everybody has a right to be housed. Everybody has that right. Including those who don't have a place right now for whatever reason. We don't care. Again, Janelle said this too. We don't care what the reason is. Let's get them housed because they're human, they're people. They deserve housing. We can solve the housing crisis. We can end homelessness. The first thing you need to believe. The second thing, those who are struggling, they're people, just like you and me. And so when it comes right down to it, we've got to summon the courage. Right? You're all here for a reason. This can't be the only thing you do, is just come to this meeting and then go home and tell somebody about it. The system isn't working. Both Janelles pointed that out. The system isn't working, so we need people to stand up, to talk to the city, to talk to the county, to talk to the state, wherever you have to go, to change legislation. And we'll hear more about that in a minute, but it's up to us. We have to have the courage and the will to implement the solutions and allocate the resources. Because these are beautiful people, and housing is a human right. So thank you all.